I will immediately begin the overhaul of our trade system to protect American workers and families. Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens.
President Donald Trump was sworn in, and in a flurry of executive orders, Canada has so far dodged the pen, and no tariffs have come yet. But what are we going to do when they do? Hello, I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Lilley and Warren Kinsella. So, Warren, we were all waiting with bated breath as the flurry of executive orders President Trump signed after his inauguration. We were waiting for some sort of executive orders on massive 25% tariffs on Canadian goods. That didn't come. Later in the day, in one of his many press briefings, Mr. Trump said that February 1st seems like a good day. So we may have escaped it for a couple more weeks, but yet we anticipate them to come. So what is Canada doing to respond?
Canada, as a national government, is not doing much to respond. The premiers have been quite active, as we all know, and been doing different things. They don't all have the same strategy, but they are trying, which is to their credit. The rhetoric that we're seeing out of Poilievre, out of Trudeau, out of national leaders is quite similar. Mark Carney has issued a statement even, so he's come out of hiding to say something. But in terms of action, we don't know what the retaliatory tariffs will be. We've heard Doug Ford say he's going to eliminate American booze at the LCBO. I think that's kind of a pimple on the behind of this thing. As Brian has reported, our trade with the United States is dwarfed by the amount of trade they do with us. So the pain we can inflict on them is inconsequential compared to the pain they are going to inflict on us. And I believe they're going to. We all got that reprieve from the Wall Street Journal story on Monday morning saying it wasn't there. It was true. It wasn't there in those many executive orders he signed. But then by the end of that evening, when he was scrummed signing more executive orders at the White House in the Oval Office, he said, no, it is coming, and likely on February the 1st. So, he is a deal maker from his real estate background. So he's playing a bit of a game and applying pressure. And it's having exactly the effect he's intended, which is have us scrambling to try and respond to his concerns. But I think at the end of the day, you're quite right. The tariffs are coming, and we need to be ready.
Brian, this whole idea that we've got another couple of weeks to address and counter these tariffs, how we're going to deal with this. Warren mentions, the varying approaches to it. Yeah. The premiers came together with the prime minister. They've said we have to have counter tariffs. Some premiers are now saying, hang on a second, we need to be able to sign off on if you are if you're going to put tariffs on resources from my province, my home province. Some premiers don't like that. I'm wondering from your perspective, this whole Captain Canada approach we've seen, this united front that is trying to put forward, Brian, yet we have really no functioning national government, no parliament sitting to put any meat around these bones, so to speak.
It's why I thought Pierre Poilievre's response on Tuesday was the right one. He said Parliament needs to be recalled. We're in a national crisis. Look, the border measures that the Trudeau government has announced, they can't even enact some of them because some require legislation, others require significant spending, which has not been authorized by Parliament. So that's a major problem. You've heard Doug Ford say go dollar for dollar. He was being scrummed on Wednesday after the virtual First Minister's meeting where all the premiers and Trudeau were on a call together. And one of the reporters said, well, why isn't there a list of what we're going to do yet? And Ford said straight up, because everyone's fighting behind the scenes. So even you're seeing Scott Moe and Danielle Smith come out against the idea of oil and gas being on the table or uranium. apparently behind the scenes, they're all bickering. No, 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 not that. Oh, yes, definitely we'll act
Hmm.
on that, but don't hurt my province. So
Hmm.
that's kind of what's going on behind the scenes. And Warren's correct. We are running about and we're scattered. My big worry at this point is that Trump, I've never thought he was bluffing. I thought the tariffs would come. I originally thought if we did things on the border, that would fix it. My worry is that he's changed his mind, and maybe that joke about using, making us the 51st state isn't a joke anymore.
Hmm.
Or that he, and this is a fact, he just simply believes that tariffs are good for the American
Hmm.
people and the American economy. They do not buy the orthodoxy of most economists. And recent polling from Ipsos of American voters found more than half support the idea of putting tariffs on goods from other countries. So, we're in a bit of a pickle. It's hilarious, though, to watch Trudeau's cabinet ministers come out and talk about how we have to diversify markets and embrace our natural
Yeah,
resources.
that's
They've been
right.
trying to shut everything down
That's right.
since they got into office. Bill C-69. And now you're going to talk about, diversify where we send our natural resources? Give me a break.
Well, Warren, if this is doing anything, at least the premiers are talking about our own interprovincial trade amongst the provinces and tearing down those barriers, because it's crazy that we can't even have some semblance of normalcy when it comes to sending goods from BC to Nova Scotia. So maybe this will be the impetus to tear down any of those any of that red tape. But let's just sort of look forward to what is a likely scenario to happen in our country. We are likely going to be going into a federal election in a few months' time. We likely will have a new federal government under Pierre Poilievre, likely to be the next prime minister. Is it possible? Because President Trump clearly had zero respect for Justin Trudeau. He just kind of caught up where so many of us were. Unserious leader, all of these crazy things that Justin Trudeau has said throughout the years. But is it possible President Trump can pivot and say, look, I know that there's a new national government, likely a more serious government. These people we can deal with, we can negotiate with. What's your view there?
I've given up a long time ago trying to guess what goes on in Donald Trump's head. And a lot of journalists have lost their credibility trying to predict, oh, he's going to be presidential. The State of the Union, this is it. He's going to be president. He's been quite honest about it. He said, I've been Donald Trump. The way I've done things has worked for me. I'm going to keep being Donald Trump.
Yeah, look,
So,
he's telegraphed everything, I guess, from your
and
yeah,
he's
yeah.
unpredictable, right? That's his political MO. And so he's going to continue to be unpredictable. So what that means for us is we have to do, as you pointed out, address things like internal trade barriers. My former boss, Chrétien, did an op-ed in a rival newspaper about that. That's one of the things he's called for. Actually, he's been calling for that for more than 30 years. So has Prime Minister Harper. That's not really responding to Trump per se. That's getting ourselves ready for the economic calamity that awaits us. The premiers, one thing they have all agreed, from Wab Kinew to Doug Ford, is we need income supports for people who are going to be losing their jobs. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people who are going to lose their jobs, who are going to need some support. So it's kind of a pandemic situation. But, in fairness to Trump, I can't believe I'm saying this because, full disclosure, I work for Kamala Harris. Like, when I worked for Harris, every single day, Donald Trump said he was going to do tariffs.
Yeah.
It was popular, as Brian just pointed out. He's got a mandate to do tariffs.
Sorry.
And he is going to realize potentially as much as 3 trillion in revenue from this external revenue service that he's talking about setting up. So in the short term, it's going to make him more popular, and it's going to make the US Treasury more flush. But as our economists and our leaders have all pointed out, from Poilievre to Trudeau, the pain will be experienced by Americans because exporters into the United States are going to pass along the cost of the tariffs to consumers. The American consumer is going to pay, but not right away. So Trump is going to get away with it. He's going to do it. And for the short term, he's going to get away with it.
Okay, Brian, last word to you.
Yeah, there was an interview on CNBC. Jamie Dimon, who's the head of Chase Bank, and he's talking to CNBC at the World Economic Forum of all places, and saying, look, he's got a mandate to do tariffs, and will they be a little inflationary? Yeah. Head of the bank estimates it'll only be a couple of percentage points that will it'll add to inflation, but he said that won't be as bad as the inflation we just had. So he was speaking favorably of this, which surprised me. I would be expecting on a place like CNBC, big CEO of a major bank like that, to say no. You're speaking favorably. So, you know, it is a realignment or an attempt to realign global trade by Donald Trump. This is not just about punishing Canada. This is his view of how the economy should work and how they can rebalance it. We're going to have to rebalance ourselves and how we run our economy. That's the sad truth that we're probably not ready for.
Well, the tariffs, they're coming. And Canada's response? Nothing so far. Well, let us know what you think in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and go to thetorontosun.com. You'll find commentary and coverage there you will not find anywhere else.